This video was made possible by contributions to this YouTube channel by members like you. Thank you. I got to go to the Loadout 2025 match, and even though I've only shot with night vision on a grand total of 3 times before this, it was an absolute blast. Honestly, I have not had this much fun shooting in years. I'm finally back home now, and I thought it would be a cool idea to show you what I ended up carrying and using at Loadout. The match itself is a brutality style match that takes place entirely at night and is shot entirely with night vision. Or thermal if you really hate yourself. I'm not kidding about that one. There were 10 people out of some 130 something that shot with thermal. I shot in the active IR category, which means that I could use passive aiming or use an infrared laser and illuminator. The rifle I brought was the FN M4 Collector Edition. I set this rifle up as a clone of my M4 while I was in the army, but as if I could put whatever I wanted on it without drastically changing anything or getting yelled at. So no ripping off the front sight block to put on an RIS-2 or anything. I put an EOTech EXPS-3 on it, as well as a Surefire Vampire Light, which I barely used. The laser I have on it is a Somo Gear PEC-15, because I'm cheap. Look, the PEC-15 is what would have been on my M4 in 2008, and I'm not gonna pay $1,500 for a beat to hell gray market pack that if I break it, I won't be able to get it repaired. I would rather pay $300 for a questionable quality one that if I break it, I also won't be able to get it repaired. Honestly, the Somo Gear did fine at the event, aside from one stage where the full impromptu laser eye surgery power laser was just washing out the target, and I could not tell if I was on it or off of it. I was supposed to have some diffusers for the laser that made it into different shapes, but the Postal Service is currently so they didn't arrive until I got back. And yeah, there's much better options than the Somo Gear, but I'm a cloner, and we're, not known for having common sense. The FN M4 did great, though. I didn't have any malfunctions, minor problems, or even any quibbles about it. Though, that's probably because I've replaced everything that I do have issues with on the M4 with parts that I actually like better. Like the god-awful A2 pistol grip, which was replaced with a Myad, and the buffer, which was replaced with a Geisley Super 42 buffer and recoil spring, and the stock trigger, which was replaced with the Geisley Super Semi-Automatic. Pro tip for you guys, don't buy a Geisley Super Semi-Automatic trigger, because then you'll fall into the pit of, oh no, I really like this trigger and now every AR I build has to have it. Now, if you want to shoot a match at night, you probably want to have night vision and a thing to attach the night vision to your face so that you can, you know, see. What I brought was a single tube PVS-14 that I can't actually remember who manufactured it. It's green, Gen 3, and I'm pretty sure it's made by L3. I'm not really an NV nerd. Sorry. Despite the fact that it has 2 small blems on the tube, it runs just fine, and most of the time I didn't notice them at all. I have it attached to my helmet with a Noise Fighters Max 14 J-arm that also worked amazingly well. My helmet is a Galvian Viper P2. I think they have a lot of model numbers, okay? It's not a bad helmet, and honestly, the Galvian Viper is one of the less expensive options out there that still gives you really good performance. The only real downsides to it are I can only find 2 companies that make covers for it. One is Galvian, and if you want anything other than multicam, you are out of luck. The other is DBR Custom Gear, and they have quite the lead time on their products. That isn't a condemnation, by the way. I'm pretty sure it's just one guy in Poland making these, and he does a fantastic job. This helmet cover slaps. It's got a spot for a counterweight pouch on the back, and a spot for a headlamp on the front, which I attached a Streamlight Sidewinder to. You can only use red light for admin tasks at Loadout, so the Sidewinder worked well enough for that, being a very low lumen output light that has red and other options. My ear pro is a set of Safariland Liberators, which worked fine, and they have the added bonus of making beeps along a musical scale when you increase and decrease the volume. There's also a stern-sounding lady inside them who tells you when they're powered on.
Power off.
I got my helmet cover in this weird pattern called triplex camo because I'm kind of a camo nerd. I was the only person that moons out with triplex camo, and I may be the only goober in North America with it at the moment. If you got something in this pattern, let me know. Oh, on the topic of camo, the jacket I wore was this old M81 Woodland BDU top that is actually one of the BDU tops that I was issued in basic training in 2004, which makes this BDU top 21 years old. I wore a merino wool base layer, which is made by -33 under it. The same one I'm wearing now, actually, and I stayed pretty warm on both nights. The pants I wore were Cry Precision G3 combat pants with the removable knee pads because I'm a bougie bitch. And man, I am glad I had those. A lot of the ground at Moons Out was made up of sharp shale type rocks, so it was nice to be able to just kind of kneel wherever and not worry about the errant rock or spent casing giving me an impromptu biopsy. For my gear on the first night, I went with a Commando Store Pattern 84 chest rig, which I really like. Everything is kind of right where I want it to be, and it's decently padded. Now, at the end of the first night, I thought to myself, you know, I had a lot of weight in my pack, and the chest rig is nice, but I'd kind of like to have the weight evenly distributed around my waist. So I switched to the Velocity Systems Jungle Kit on the second night, and proceeded to add 3 more fully loaded magazines to it, and a liter of water. Did I mention I'm not smart? I do really like running belt kit though. It does actually evenly distribute the weight where you're carrying. And the advantage of carrying 9 fully loaded magazines was that when I finished a stage, I didn't have to run back to my pack to hurriedly refill my magazines before the next one. Though I could have just left the magazines in my pack because there were really only 2 stages where I needed more than 2 magazines during the whole match. There's always trade-offs, I guess. On the topic of my pack, I brought this Crossfire Pack CF2. It's a really good 37-liter rucksack with an external polymer frame. The biggest problem I ran into with it is that due to its size, I'm always kind of tempted to overload it with stuff that I generally don't end up using. And it can be a little difficult to wear with belt kit, though you can just remove the waist belt in that instance. And I'm pretty sure Crossfire makes a whole belt kit setup that will actually integrate with the rucksack, which is pretty sick. Now, if you watch my SHOT Show video, you will know that I'm kind of a simp for the Loa Zephyr boot, and those are what I wore to the match. They're great boots, and I didn't find them lacking for anything, really. As you can see, these ones are pretty worn out. Some of the fabric has started fraying, and the soles are pretty worn down. Rubber's starting to kind of come off in chunks in a couple spots. This was kind of a last go for them before they get retired, so I'm glad they got to go out with a bang, so to speak. Good job, boots. And that's pretty much it for the kit that I wore at the Moons Out 2025 match. Like I said, I'm super glad I got to go, and it was really fun. Hopefully, I'll have a video out about how I did soon. I'm just waiting on getting some footage of the event. Thank you all so much for watching. If you're one of the cool dudes who made it to the end, comment with the owl emoji so I know how cool you are. Because they can see at night. Get it? I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one.